Peace, love, and light. Welcome to the existence changing experience that is the Institute of Biblical Studies and Higher Consciousness. And I'm Pastor Walker, the founder, the teacher, the pastor here, your guide on the road of spiritual excellence and evolution. Certainly, we give all honor to the creator of all for another opportunity to come together in fellowship and the word. I'm grateful for everyone that joins in with me on Zoom and for everyone that view these videos after they're posted to YouTube. I just humbly ask that if this video or the videos on my channel are a blessing to you, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'm just grateful for the many, many great things that are happening in the life of myself and those that are around me. You know, the more knowledge and information that comes out, and the more spiritual growth that we can achieve and accomplish is definitely a great tribute to our ending journey when we leave this flesh to return to the monad, to go into new experiences and new dimensions. Not like they sold us in church, where they say you either go to heaven or hell, because heaven and hell don't exist outside of your physical man. Hell being the lower part coming from your root chakra all the way up to your crown chakra, which is heaven. I'm certainly grateful for the followers that I do have and those that are viewing these videos, and I believe and know that they'll be a blessing to you, are being a blessing to you. And I just want to say that I'm grateful for my life's journey and this work that I have before me, because these videos, should the internet be allowed to stay around, someone will find these in the future and find inspiration. So we're going to pick up again, and we're going to pretty much close this week. This ended up a three-parter, and I'm not going to repent for it or apologize. I'm just grateful for the word to come forth, and prayerfully, I can do something or say something today that's going to really inspire you and enlighten you. So we're going to go ahead and firm in, and then we're just going to pick up where we left off from last week in our lesson subject on the God within. Let's affirm. Creator of all, I'm grateful for the life spark, health and strength, soundness of mind and spirit and body. We're grateful for every provision made for us, and every surprise, every door open, every way made. We're grateful for beautiful relationships and unity and harmony. And we're grateful that all our needs are supplied and heart's desires granted. We're grateful for protection divine, even through these trying times, and the encouragement that we may walk in a greater light, in a greater strength, and a greater wisdom. We humble ourselves and confess that we have no sin. In any transgressions against universal law, the divine law, we repent that we may align ourselves for elevation. I humbly ask that you will think through my mind and speak through my mouth those things which are beneficial for the edification of those listening. We're grateful for any revelation and all information that comes forth. I open my heart and my mind that I may receive from the divine, that I may give out. We give all esteem and honor to you, and we're grateful. I speak these things in the name of the Creator, that it may come before the Most High Power. So be it. Again, welcome to the existence changing experience that is the Institute of Biblical Studies and Higher Consciousness. You know, as I look at my hands, I meant to put my rings on, but sometimes we're distracted from certain outward things that are less important, because the most important thing is getting on here tending to spiritual things. And sometimes we do things not intentionally, but knowing or thinking, you know, according to ego, this is how I want it to be. This is what I want to do. But sometimes your divine plan and path does not allow for that. Sometimes there's a deviation. Not to say that we should go into lack or anything like that, but we have to be aware of the deviations and why, you know, because they're not important. Those rings are not important for me to have on. If anything, they could be a distraction to you as I'm trying to teach you. So I'm just grateful for the lesson. We began our series on, and I say series because this is part 3, the closing, on the God within. And I believe that it has enlightened those that have listened and have made a difference in their lives, at least to consider their life path. And we were talking more about the monad last week and awakening the monad and what the monad is, and going back to the divine spark from the monad. And I believe if I didn't say it then, I'm going to say it now, that the monad can be likened unto the transformers, where the all spark that they had gave birth to all Transformers, all Autobots, and those that became later on Decepticons. But the difference is that the All Spark had the power and ability to create a prime. The prime were like the most wise and divine rulers or leaders of the Autobots. And it's very hard to kill a prime. And a prime can be created simply by receiving the all spark. Now, not just anyone can be a prime. It has to be one that's destined for that. So I guess you're saying, well, see, how do we know we're all meant for the monad's divine spark? Well, you're living, aren't you? You are, each and every one of us. And when you look at the reality of life, everyone that lives on this earth is not worthy, or I don't want to say worthy. They're not able to connect to the all, to the live spark, to the monad. You have some people that are like what they call those people, those player characters, the ones that's in the game, that's just in the game, extra people. They just go about the same programming, doing the same things. But then you have those that are living characters like us, like yourself, that tap into the divine to evolve and do greater things, to accomplish a mission in the game. So we talked about the monad and the monas and all of that last week. And if you want to be refreshed, go back and view chapter 2. And we began going into the unifying of the two sides of the mind, bringing your left and right hemispheres into balance, I believe. I'm trying to see why I said I was going to pick back up at. Excuse me. I had it this morning, and I might have gone too far. So this is what I'll do. I'm going to pick up with, and I guess it's meant again, divine. We're going to pick up with the unified consciousness today. And I think that that's a befitting, now my computer want to mess up, but I think that might be a very befitting. Yeah, because last week we talked about the God of the Old Testament being the demiurge. I think I hit on some of that last week. And I'm going to teach a more in-depth lesson on the demiurge. Okay, no. I'm going back. I'm going to go to ancient and esoteric roots, talking about the monad, and then we'll push on from there. Ancient and esoteric roots. Esoteric means hidden. Exoteric means open. Okay. A lot of this knowledge was esoteric. It was hidden from the masses, the uninitiated, because everyone was not fit to know this knowledge, and you had those that try to destroy this knowledge to keep souls trapped here in this realm. So let's go into it. The concept of the monad crosses numerous esoteric traditions where it goes by different names but share the same core meaning. And this is just a recount. The Pythagorean philosophy, ancient Greeks defined it as unity, the ultimate supreme being, and the foundation from which all numbers of multiplicity are born, In Gnosticism, the Gnostics described the monads as the boundless, transcendent, and ineffable spirit, supreme reality that predates all physical forms and the lesser cosmic creatures or demiurges. And that's what we talked about. We started talking about the demiurge Yaldabaoth on last week. And in Eastern traditions, it heavily mirrors the concept of Brahma, the undivided reality of the universe, or the Dio, D-A-O, the unnameable source of all mysteries, because it is believed that the monad, supreme consciousness, thought on itself, and it kept thinking on itself until it created all of these universes, all the way down to you and I. And it's still thinking on itself, but it experiences different sensations, different things, different experiences through us. But we are also given unto ourselves, where which we are descendants of the eons, which were tricked into mortal bodies by the demiurge and the archons, and trapped here for energy harvesting, which is why we have to learn how to grow in consciousness so that we can, when it's time for us to part from this body, have that silver cord cut and move into a new dimension, or go back to the paroma, to where the light is, to rejoin the eons. Now, we talked about spiritual symbolism last week, the circle and the dot. And I remember saying that even the circle and dot, that was revealed to me in Masonry, when I used to sit down with the 32nd and 33rd degree Masons and pick their brains, because I wanted to be a 32nd and 33rd degree Mason, and was on well on the path to it. I sat in the junior warden seat, which was a 32nd degree Mason seat, as a 3rd degree Mason. And I knew the rituals and all of that. Even when the actual person who the seat belonged to came to the meetings, he let me run it, because they saw that in me. But it's not about me, but it's back to the circle and the dot. Now, I was told that the dot was the Holy Saint John, and the circle was the circumference of all men. But here in sacred geometry, the Pythagorean thought, the monad is represented by a single point inside of a perfect circle. This is the truth of that. The center point signifies the pure, indivisible divine spark, while the circle represents the infinite, boundless nature of the whole. The Monas Hieroglyphica, popularized in esoteric mysticism, this glyph combines the sun, the moon, and the elements into a single interwoven emblem representing the interconnectedness of the monad, because all things are connected and everything is connected to the monad. Even that roach that's crawling on your wall, it may not have consciousness like you do, but it has the divine spark that animates it. Now, our spiritual lesson is this: spirituality, awakening to the monad, is about realizing your inherent divinity. You got to realize that. You have to decide to go from being a mortal to being immortal. You have to tell your subconscious mind that, hey, I'm not just this flesh. I'm not just a human. I'm a supernatural being. You have to accept that. And I know, and I realize that may be a little hard for some people to swallow or to fathom. But if you can believe whatever you want to create what you wanted to create, then why can't you create yourself into being a supernatural being, to unlock your consciousness? There's a whole lot of potential that's inside of you that you won't let out because of what? Fear? Because of lack of faith? You have to realize your inherent divinity. You are divine. Forget what they told you. You're not a sinner saved by grace. You weren't born a sinner. Get out of that lowliness of mind and accept that you are divine. It teaches you that you are not a separate, fragmented being trying to reach an external God, but rather the divine source experiencing itself through your individual human form. It is a journey of remembering your ultimate interconnectedness, with all of creation. The term monad comes from the Greek feminine noun monos. And again, the divine feminine was the first who fed wisdom to man. That word monos, nominative singular, means one unit. That's where we're headed. Where the ending S in the nominative form resolves to the ending D in declension. Prominent early Christian Gnostics like the Valentinians taught that the monad is the high source of the pleroma, the region of light constituting the fullness of the Godhead. Through the process of emanation, various divine entities and realms emerge from the one. Arranged hierarchically, they become progressively degraded due to their remoteness from the Father. And when they get caught in a lower vibrational frequency, from which how the demiurge and the archons designed to keep us restricted. They even made it so that we couldn't even see them with our naked eyes without having to condition ourselves because they're on a different frequency, although they're around us all the time. They're always trying to inspire us or move us to do certain things so that they might feed, whether it be angry, whether it be promiscuous, whether it be gluttonous, it does not matter. That unction that you get inside of you, it ain't the Holy Ghost all the time. That thought that you get, that may not be your thought. That may be an interjection from an archon to get you to do something that results in you creating the energy to feed it. The various emanations of the one, totaling 30 in number, or 365 according to the Basilides, are called eons. Among them exists Jesus the Christ, who resides close to the Father. The lowest emanation was Sophia, whose name is wisdom, whose fall results in the creation of the material world. According to Theodoret's book on heresies, the Harticurum Fabularum Compendium, page I-18, the Arab Christian. Now notice it says the Arab Christian because Islam, Hebrewism, Judaism, Christianity, they're all the same monster. They all came from the same inspiration, from the same people, to keep people separated but still in the same program. And you'll find that a lot of differences are between those and a lot of strife, which is the purpose of them being created. The Arab Christian Mononymous, pages 150 to 210, I guess that was CE, used the term monad to mean the highest God that creates lesser gods or elements similar to the aeons in some versions of Christian Gnosticism, especially those deriving from the Valentinians. A lesser deity known as the demiurge had a role in the creation of the material world separate from the monad. These forms of Gnosticism In these forms of Gnosticism, the God of the Old Testament, the Hebrew Bible, Yahweh, 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 Yahuwah, all of them whoas and a's, is often considered to have been the demiurge, not the monad. There's a difference between the two. The God of the Bible exemplifies all the characteristics and behaviors of the demiurge named Yaldabaoth. And sometimes different passages are interpreted as referring to each. Now, unified consciousness. Romans the 12th chapter, because this is where we're heading. This is where we have to get back to. The unified consciousness. Romans 12th chapter verse 2 says, and be not conformed to this world. And be not conformed to this world. And be not conformed to this world. Don't be the way this world is. I don't know where that came from. That just jumped in my spirit. You have to not be programmed by how this world is designed. You cannot operate the way that this world, because this world is set up as a trap and a prison for your soul. So you have to learn to think above that and excel past that. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, by the remaking of your mind, by making your mind over, by changing your mind, by making your mind back new, that ye may prove that what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God, or the monad. The monad desires that you be free. That's why Yahweh, Jesus said, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Not set you, make you. There's a difference between the two. Because when an object is already created and made, it can be set anywhere and be out of purpose. Because as long as this thing, this brick is sitting on my laptop, it's out of purpose. It can't do its job. And its job is to be connected to a cord, plugged in somewhere, being a power source. So you being set in a place, set in a way, set in a mindset, are not able to be plugged in the source, being that power cord to bring power to this life, to this world, to bring somebody some deliverance, some help, some assistance, some enlightenment, and all those things in the list. But when you're made because when I take this and connect it to a cord, I make an extension for power to come through to a device. So when you're made, you become, or when you remake your mind, you become conducive for the power source to bring power and manifestation into this world, into this dimension. You're made free. You're not set free. You're not loose, because when you're set free, you can be recaptured. But when you made free, it ain't no going back. See, a person that's set free might revert back to old habits. They might revert back to old ways and doctrine. Why? Because I done got afraid of what I see ahead of me. I better go back to what's common, what's normal. But when I'm made free, I ain't looking back at the things of old, because I'm enjoying my freedom and looking forward to the things that are ahead. So how do we unify our consciousness? How do we make ourselves free? How do we not be conformed to this world, but transform our mind? Simply by combining the right and left hemispheres of your brain. Combining the left and right brain creates a state of wholeness, bridging logical analysis with intuitive wisdom. Metaphysically, this integration balances the duality of existence, the masculine, rational doing. I covered this last week, but we're going to do it again. And the feminine, intuitive being. So you got to learn how to operate according to logic. Yes, man, according to logic and intuition. Yes, woman, according to intuition and logic. allowing you to navigate physical reality while remaining aligned with the universal spiritual essence. Achieving harmony between your cerebral hemispheres is considered a foundational step toward higher consciousness, the spiritual intelligence. Exploring this integration spans several key metaphysical concepts such as bridging duality. The left hemisphere is often associated with linear time. The left hemisphere is often associated with linear time boundaries, the ego, and physical survival, while the right connects us to the infinite, the present moment, the interconnectedness. Unifying them allows you to be a grounded, practical being who is simultaneously tapped into a deeper divine awareness. That's why there are so many circumstances and scenarios in life that cause us to have to choose one or the other. We were even raised up in school and in religion to choose what? One or the other. The mother said you can't serve two masters. Why can't you? You do it all the time. For those of you that are in religion that say you worship God, Yahweh, Allah, you're serving the master. Okay? Then you go to your job and work for your boss. You're serving another master. At the same time, you're serving your God. And you claim that you're serving that master, in a sense, as unto your God. And if you got a business, you serving a master. It's called the government. It's called regulations. Why are you serving your God? So you can't serve two masters. You got them. And then if you master yourself, guess what you're doing? Serving the Lord, serving God. The yin and yang within. It ain't just kung fu symbol. It ain't just for karate. It signifies the unity and duality of darkness and light. That inside of light, there's a little bit of darkness. And that inside of darkness, there is a little bit of light. And the circle itself, in every being, there exists both simultaneously. It's all according to choice and vibrational frequency. The yin and yang within. Ancient philosophies and esoteric traditions, like in the right brain, or right brain, left brain dynamic to cosmic energies. Harmonizing them parallels the balance of the yin, the feminine, receptive, and the yang, the masculine, active. Preventing the isolation and fragmentation that can arise from purely logic-driven perception. Transcending the metaphysical cap or gap. Combining both ways of experiencing the world allows the mind to synthesize the inner state or the noumena, Noumena, with the outer environment, the phenomena, the noumena and phenomena. This holistic synthesis opens the door to experiencing life as the unified whole rather than disconnected parts. So how do we do that? How do we bring both right and left hemispheres into harmony, into unity, into oneness? Balancing the right, creative, intuitive side, and the left, logical, analytical side, brain, hemispheres, enhances cognitive function and reduces anxiety. Achieve this by engaging in activities that require cross-hemispheric operation. But you have to recognize, first and foremost, what each side does. You got to the right side is the creative side, the intuitive side, the side that you hear them inspirations and them downloads. And then the left side is your logical, from whence you logically think how you need to do what you need to do. So you have to engage in activities that require cross-hemispheric cooperation. such as drawing infinity signs. Over and over and over again. Not one time. It's an exercise. Learning music. They say that musicians operate on a higher intellectual level than most people, because you have to read those notes, count those notes and all that, keep time, and as well as knowing how to play your instrument, doing multiple things at once. When I was a drummer, right? I was a drum captain for the Southside High School Marching Band, Gold Panthers. Okay, I was drum captain from the 9th grade till I got out of the band my senior year. Okay. Now, mind you, I had other drummers that were in the drum line that were older than me. However, Oscar possessed the gift that was passed down to him from Russell Haynes, which was his predecessor. So I was voted the drum captain, and I played the flagship signature drum of the drum captain, the quadritoms and the triple toms. Okay. But when I was drumming, we had to learn how to pat our head and rub our stomach at the same time to be able to separate thought. I almost forgot how to do it because I ain't did it so long. Pat your head and rub that. That showed that you were able to separate your thought and do several things at once. I'm glad I can still do that. It's the same thing with learning music. Also, practice mindfulness. You got to practice being in the moment. You got to practice observing, because you are the observer external of your body, observing through your body. So you have to learn how to practice mindfulness, being in the moment, observing what's around you, experiencing the feel. All of these things that we don't do because we're constantly working, trying to experience life, trying to have a good time. We never sit down to just be and just be mindful. You have to be mindful of your words. You have to be mindful of your thoughts. You can't just let everything just run wild, all willy-nilly. Because remember, you are God, generator, operator, destroyer. Your mind, what you allow to run through it, goes into your subconscious mind, which works along with your solar plexus to create and manifest from the universe. So you can't just let that baby go unchecked. That's why the scripture tells us to cast down strongholds and vain imaginations. Because them imaginations ain't yours. A lot of times it comes from the archons. A lot of times you channeling them from other people. You're channeling them from the cosmos. So you have to know you and practice mindfulness so you know what to throw out and what to keep, what to utilize and what to put down. Also, you can do this by writing by hand. You know, they used to teach us to write in cursive. Cursive was one of the greatest attributes for creativity in the brain, because person does cursive and they create their signature, and nobody's cursive was the same. You know, some people feel more fancier than others. But we don't do that no more. Why? Because we're typing everything out now. We're speaking in the computers and they're typing it for us. And it does away with that creative side, just like they used to tell us to always use your imagination. You don't hear that no more. Why? Because that brings you closer to enlightenment. That gets you closer to the monad. That gets you closer to connecting the right and left hemisphere, brain hemispheres, and poof, crown chakra way on fleek. And you're able to see and do all these supernatural things. But because we don't practice mindfulness, we ain't thinking that there's somebody out there trying to keep our brain trapped and our soul trapped in this body. Shout out to my cousin Doug for this hat, boy. I love it. Thanks to you and Deborah. You can also use creative visualization while solving logical problems. What do you mean? When you have an issue, situation that you need an answer to, you need direction in, you need to sit your butt down somewhere and go into your brain and inside into your heart and imagine yourself receiving the answer, receiving whatever you're desiring. Creative visualization, seeing yourself receiving the answer, seeing yourself receiving what you need. And then all of a sudden, whoa, the answer comes to you. Or it manifests from somewhere, whether somebody gives it to you or it just comes out of the air. Now, also, because we're still talking about unifying our consciousness and combining right and left hemisphere brain hemispheres. You can use a brain integration exercise or brain integration exercises. You can practice circuit drawing by drawing an infinity sign with your fingers over and over and over again, over and again and again, over and over and over again, over again and again. Alternating hands to stimulate both hemispheres over and over and over again and again. Infinity sign. Because you want to stimulate both hemispheres. You can use physical exercises that cross the body's midline, such as opposite knee to elbow touches. You know them things. When you bring your knee up high, you know, I can't do that at this desk. That causes you to think, cross yourself. You can combine creativity and structure by engaging in activities that combine both, such as playing a musical instrument, reading notes left, and feeling the rhythm right. Y'all thought I was capping when I talked about musicians. Or coding, logical structure left, and creative design right. You can also use mental cross-training. If you're logical and analytic, foster your creative side with painting, journaling, or listening to music. That's what I'm sticking the muds. It means loosen up. Stop thinking so hard. Stop being so logical. Go and do something free and open and fun. But if you're conventional or emotional, you can engage the left brain with puzzles like Sudoku, chess, and strategic planning. You can use mindfulness breathing. By meditation helps calms both sides. Specific techniques like alternate nostril breathing can harmonize hemispheric activity. Writing and visualizing, going back to being creative. Write by hand rather than typing to engage both language and spatial skills. Use visualization techniques to imagine outcomes to complement the analytical planning. You're writing and seeing the vision at the same time. In both yogic philosophy and energetic work, balancing the right and left hemispheres of the brain is considered a fundamental step in opening and activating the crown chakra of the Sahasrara or the Sahasrara. The connection is this. The yogic view in traditional practices, the left brain represents logical, analytical, and active energy associated with the sun, while the right brain represents the intuitive and creative and receptive energy associated with the moon. When both sides are balanced and integrated, vital energy, prana, can flow freely to the center of the brain to ignite the crown chakra. Its physical equivalent is this. The crown chakra governs the cerebral cortex, central nervous system, and pineal gland. Achieving a balanced, calm mental state quiets the default mode network, the part of the brain associated with the ego and separation. This quieting allows for deeper unified awareness, characteristic of an open crown chakra. So how to balance the brain to open the crown chakra? How do we do that? To unite both hemispheres of the brain and stimulate the crown chakra, several specific practices are commonly recommended. First, alternate nostril breathing, the Nadi Shatana in Sanskrit. This traditional yogic breathing technique is highly recommended for creating cognitive and energetic equilibrium. It centers the mind by directly balancing both brain hemispheres. Alternate nostril. Boy, that's something else. Breathing from one nostril to the other. Meditation and mindfulness. Consistent stillness allows the overactive analytical mind to settle, letting intuitive higher consciousness come into the forefront. So meditation and mindfulness. Also, yoga and somatic movement. Restorative poses like the corpse pose, savasana, or inversions like supported headstand promote healthy blood flow to the brain cells and stimulate the nervous system to ease the mental overstimulation. So yoga is another great practice for connecting both hemispheres. In energetic healing, the crown chakra is considered the endpoint of your spiritual journey. It's notoriously difficult to open the crown chakra if the lower 6 chakras, which govern your human experience, emotions, and physical boundaries, are blocked or unhealed. So you gotta get these chakras in alignment one at a time. Going back to what Romans 12 said, be not conformed to this world. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Because that good, acceptable, and perfect will of God is that you be whole, that you be God, that you be one, that you be the monad. Romans 15:5-6 says, now the God of patience and consolation grant you to be like-minded. Patience, consolation, 2 important words on this journey to your God self, to opening yourself up to the God within, to connecting both sides of the hemisphere, both hemispheres, of your brain to achieve ultimate enlightenment and opening the crown chakra. So that you can be like-minded, both hemispheres, like-minded, even though they do different functions, operating together, intertwined. Now, I know it says like-minded toward one another according to Christ Jesus, but in order to achieve Christ consciousness, the ultimate Christ consciousness, you have to be of one mind towards yourself, like-minded towards yourself first. Then you can connect to other beings that are in the Christ consciousness. That ye may be with one mind and one mouth glory of God, even the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. So that you can be a oneness with the monad, with yourself, with your higher self in the Christ consciousness. But again, you have to accept that you are greater than this flesh, that you are a God within, that you are a part of the monad, and the monad is a part of you. It's time out for living a meager life, a defeated life, a life of lack and broken dreams and disappointments. It's time for you to decide to tap in, to renew your mind, to go higher, to live in a constant state of mindfulness that you are here existing as the monad and yourself on your way to ascending back to the pleroma, to the monad. And you have to carry that into death with you. So that when faced with the archons, you don't get tricked into coming back here with regret. With I need to go back and correct that. And then you come back here a cockroach or something. Just to get sprayed with some raid. When you were still in your fullness of your purest form on your way back to the pleroma. And then to whatever dimension that you choose to dwell in for that experience on behalf of the monad. Stop selling yourself short. Know that you're God. Tap into the God within. Excel your life. And take somebody else with you. This has been the existence changing experience that is the Institute of Biblical Studies and Higher Consciousness. I'm Pastor Walker, and I believe that says something today that calls you to think. If nothing else, research what I taught so that you can have a grasp on it yourself and make a decision to elevate your mind. Let's affirm out. Creative all, we're grateful for this lesson and the conclusion thereof, for the information that's gone forth, knowledge gained and obtained. We're grateful for elevation in the higher consciousness and the executing of the exercises that we may unify both sides of both hemispheres of our brain. Now, as we depart from this Zoom, but never from your presence, we know that you go with us and keep us. And we trust that we will come together again. Thank you for every door open, every way made, every victory, even the disappointments and things that have been negative. For all things work together for good to us. We're grateful for all things, and we're thankful for the power within. I speak these things in the name of the Creator that may come before the throne of the Most High Power. So be it. May the Creator bless you and keep you. May cause His countenance to shine upon you, be gracious unto you. May He show you His mercy and bid you His peace. Peace, love, and light. See you next week for another great teaching. Have a great week.